guys, so far we've had Tyler Ramsby, John Strand, Devin McCarthy, and Ivan Santos. And now we got our man Sandor coming in hot. Hey, Sandor, good to see you.
Hey,
Well,
hey, hey.
oh, yeah, we got audio, we got video. Cool. Sandor, if you want to just share your slides, we can kick you off.
Heck yeah.
I love it.
Uh,
Guys, I want to introduce you to Sandor. Sandor, how do you pronounce your last name?
Slijderink. Think of the IJ as a Y. I blame my parents. Yeah.
Okay, Slijderink. All right, Sandor Slijderink. He's going to be talking about Where's Your Ferrari. I can't wait to see what this is. Sandor, thank you so much for being here. Take it away.
Thank you. So there, my brothers and I, we were sitting there, and we hear my mom coming down the hallway. We knew panic was already set in right there. Quickly, we got everything set up just before my mom walked into the door. Just barely had the closet doors closed. My mom looks over at us, says, "What you guys doing?" And of course, the three of us brothers, all at the same times, nothing. Well, as a parent, you would know that nothing means everything and usually everything bad. To kind of put it into perspective of what happened, my mother then opened the closet doors to find um, a chicken on every clean pile of laundry, neatly folded in our closet. Um, it was getting cold for Texas. This meant it was getting between 70 and 80 degrees versus 90 and whatever temperature it is down below. Um, kind of give you an understanding. And so me and my brothers were trying to manage the assets, our chickens. Anyway, my name's Sandor, and I'm going to be talking about the Ferrari that's in your driveway that you don't know is there. This is about asset management, and truly no information security program that you have, any risk analysis, vulnerability patch management, or anything else is out the door. Does not work if you do not have an an up-to-date asset management program. Okay. If you don't know that you have a Windows XP in your environment that's out of date for 5 years now, maybe 10, then your patch management, if it doesn't know what you have to patch, there's nothing to patch. You have a vulnerability sitting there. Any risk analysis that doesn't include your assets, every single last one of your assets is garbage. If it doesn't include everything that you've got, it absolutely has to be there. One of the stories that we had that recently happened to me, um, literally about 23 hours in, we finally find the CIO, the COO, myself, and the CISO on the horn. We find a server. Unfortunately, it's the wrong server. This is the test server that they installed about 10, 12 years prior, that hadn't been power cycled or updated or anything either. So this is the wrong one. 30 minutes later, we finally find the right server. Almost 24 hours, we're about ready to start the next day, the first shift of the next day again. And we finally find the server that controls the pharmaceutical dispensing at the bedside for a hospital. When you have asset management, when you have inventory management, you have to know where those items are. Not just that you own it and the serial number, but you need to include location. You also need to include things like what users are on there. What updates are you running at? When was the last time that machine was modified, accessed, reviewed, anything, configured? Uh, you changed anything, power cycled, anything. All those things need to be documented within a proper asset management. And the case in point, and everybody's like, well, why do I need to? So when you look at Cisco recently, last couple of weeks, had two major vulnerabilities exposed. Actually, one, but the other one piggybacked on an older one, so they kind of came as a pair. Um, the only indicators of compromise up until about a week ago, at least, was still here are the usernames that they were using. If you have a good asset management and you know what users are supposed to be on a specific device, and a Cisco device shouldn't have multiple accounts running on it. Okay, shouldn't have too many people modifications on the users, like a workstation in a public area. Um, so you'd be able to go there and know without a doubt, hey, we normally have 14, there's now 15 or 16, and we don't recognize these names, regardless of what the names in the original IOC was from Cisco and the CVE. Within the CVE, you would know and be able to figure it out. And when that vulnerability got revealed, it was no longer a 0 day. So there was people that were going to be, they were watching that, not just the good guys, but also the bad guys. They're paying attention to it. So now they're going to change their name. So it didn't matter what the IOC was. After a few hours, more than likely that name, those usernames in the IOC's list were changed. This is one of the reasons why having a good, solid asset management, inventory management program is absolutely imperative. And this is what I'm talking about the Ferrari in your driveway. Okay, do you know you have Move It server? Do you have Log4j a year or two back? Do you know you have, the Cisco vulnerability, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, we can go back over and over again. Some other blunders here real quick on it in regards to it, because I know this is just about a 20-30 minute little time frame, and I know we got little technical hiccups here. But in Europe, KFC couldn't get chickens to the stores because of inventory management, asset management. Okay, Nike, they still can't find thousands of pairs of shoes. Okay, because of inventory management problems. Now these are external, more shopping related, stocking the shelves, so to speak. But this next one here is an interesting one. The Department of Veteran Affairs still cannot find millions of dollars. I believe it was about 3.6 since about 2006 now. Oh, it says it on my slide. This is equipment that got shipped to VA hospitals that they cannot find. They do not know where it is. Millions of dollars worth of equipment that they cannot find. Target had an issue not too long ago trying to open up some stores in Canada. In fact, all of its stores. When it first tried to go into Canada, it couldn't open the stores because they couldn't get product to the shelves. They couldn't get the trucks to the stores. You need to know where your equipment is. Case in point here, I went to work for a software as a service company, and we had a switch that we couldn't figure out where it was. We needed to physically access it, much like my first story that I told you about at a hospital. We couldn't find this switch. It was just a 24-port simple switch, but it had been running a particular service and connected to a particular server that we needed to update and upgrade and take off of there. We didn't know where it was. 5 years prior, they had done a remodel. And there's this brand new wall. Well, we get done tracing and toning out the wires throughout the floor, the ceiling, the walls. It finally drops right down into a hole. The RJ45 cable, the Cat5 cable, drops right down into a hole right over the brand new wall. Well, 5-year-old wall. We open up the wall, and there is the switch with the sticky note that still says, "Do not move under any circumstances." So, who's at fault here? But it took over 5 years where that switch sat inside of a wall. No one touched it. But 2, we couldn't figure out where it was at. And we probably spent man hours wise at least 5, maybe 6 man hours, but 3-4 people involved. So do the math, 50, 75, $100 an hour. Okay. Per person times 4 or 5, you're looking at $1,000 just to find one switch. Um, so, and if you think inventory management isn't for you, it is. It's for everyone. And I don't care how small you are. And in fact, if you're small right now and you've got aspirations where you're going to be going up the food chain and getting bigger, before you get bigger, before you go to the next one, do an account of everything that you own: workstations, servers, fax machines, copying machines, everything that you have. And not just that you have it in a serial number, but look at your um, what's your patch level? What's your configuration? What are your firewall rules? That's another key one. I just had a nice talk over with Sam's GIAC in regards to including things like firewall rules with your asset management and your inventory management program. If things happen, if the fan spins and stuff hits it, and you have to relocate and bring everything back up, and someone just says, here's all your equipment identical to what you had, well, now you got to fill it with stuff. If you don't have the firewall rules stored and configured somewhere as part of your asset management inventory management program, you're going to be spending 10, 20, 30 times longer versus, oh, here's the config file, let me upload that, or here are the firewall rules. It's 163 of them, but we can bash them out pretty quick. Right? I've been doing this for over 30 years. This is nothing that I'm seeing is new. We're repeating ourselves over and over and over again. The asset management, inventory management, things have been disappearing and reappearing for decades, longer than I've been around, probably since the 50s and 60s when computers were first starting to be created and built and utilized. Anyway, don't want to brag about myself. If you want to reach me, LinkedIn. We have any questions? I know that we're short on time, but wanted to make sure that we got through some stuff. So,
Oh yeah, no, we've got plenty of time, Sandor. I don't know if there's any particular element you want to dig into. We can definitely do Q&A, but we have you for another 12 minutes actually. So we're
oh,
good.
I'm a little faster than I thought I was.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so if you got any questions, so Shane Prevost, what's up, Shane? It's good to see you. It's been a minute. Shane Prevost drops a great question. What tools do you recommend?
So the tools, I'm not going to be a proponent for any one specific tool over another. One, because I don't want to risk my butt for, somebody else's product. But the tools specifically, you want to use tools that you're comfortable with and familiar with. Okay, don't put a new tool on your lap that you don't know how to read, you've never played with, tinkered with, or anything else. Look at some tools, explore the tools, look to see what you like about them. I mean, I'm not I'm not opposed to utilizing myself like Wireshark. And then I have some visualizations that I utilize as well. Nether is a kind of visualization stack that you can put on top of Wireshark. You can use Nessus scans. They're pretty reliable. They are time consuming, but they're very in depth. If you want to just ping around, utilize like a ping plot or something like that. There's a plethora of different tools you can use. Um, now, while tools are great, tools are only going to work for machines that are online and responding online at the time that you run those scans. So if you're going to only rely on your tools, you need to run them often, and you need to make sure that everything that you want to scan is turned on, that everything is turned on, basically, that you can get identification for. Do expect at least to get on your hands and knees at some point to at least verify or do some exploratory on your network. And it doesn't matter how small your shop is. If it's a 3-man shop with 3 workstations and 2 printers, and you've got stuff there to look at and to make sure you're up and running. Because look at ransomware. Yeah, you're not going to pay the ransom. You didn't encrypt. You lost everything, but you want to rebuild everything back up. get your operating systems, your servers, you had everything working just right, your phone systems, right? If you don't have your configuration, it's going to take you 10, 20 times longer than if you had that configuration. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Really quick, I mean, for a fun fact, Heather Noggle is saying she likes your chicken stories. Definitely appreciate that. Hey, so these are some great questions coming in. Ready? So if with all your experience, like let's say side hustle consulting, small business reaches out to you, where would they begin to kind of get the biggest bang for the buck of an asset management program?
so one of the things about a small org is it's going to be looking at budget. Start with a spreadsheet. Just start. That's going to be the most key thing is, you're going to wonder about, well, where do I start? I need to buy this tool. I need to buy that tool. You know what? Let's get things on paper. Just start writing it down. Okay. It's gonna stink manually at first, but at least you can get the habit of, okay, we have this, we have that, we have this, we have that. Great. You start to learn little tricks and of how to find different things on various machines. Utilizing a PC info on a Windows machine can garner up all the information about your machine pretty quickly in regards to what processors you have, what your patch level and update level is, all the information that I would recommend you put into your asset management program.
I love it. Now, so to your point about a spreadsheet and manual and it's going to suck. If you do this, the next thing you're going to discover is maintaining it. So let's talk about maintaining an asset management and the accuracy and all that. What are your techniques or best tips for doing that?
Um, if you have to, as a small org, start with setting yourself a schedule, a reminder to follow that up. Once a quarter, once a month, once a week, depending on how big your organization is and how often it changes. If you're a three-man insurance agency, kind of a little shop, you might need to, you might not want to do it every week or every month, kind of a thing. But as you make changes, any changes, if you have to, update Tuesday, patch Tuesday comes around, hey, put a note in there that you ran these updates and here's what the updates are now for each of these 3 or 4 machines. When you're a smaller org, it's going to go much faster. The problem and where the headache's going to come in at is if you're a large org that has no asset management, no inventory management program, you're going to need to bring in some folks to get on the hands and knees with you, and to do some pinging around and tooling around and probably sell you that chrome plated shiny blinky box. Uh, it, Not a doubt, but and that's why you want to get started the sooner the better. Know what you have, um, not just for cybersecurity purposes, but also when you go to the board and when you go to the C-suite and you go to the CEO, the CFO, and they're looking for budgets. And well, what have you spent this money on? Well, here's all the things that we have. Okay, we have this many hours done in updates and patch management, and here's all the machines we have. They're up 100, running this, that. We just swapped out a hard drive on this one. You can see all of that in the asset management inventory management report. And if someone comes over to you and does a risk analysis on your company and this says, okay, now you need to pay me $6,500, sir. You can say, well, did you see our asset management? No. Then your risk analysis isn't worth the garbage that I put in my trash can. It's just not. You can't do a risk analysis if you don't know what machines, what everything is happening in, under the hood.
100%. And to Sanders' point, I mean, if you look at any framework maturity level, NIST CSF identify is the first thing you do. Asset management's the first. I mean, asset, whether it's hardware, software, or data. Same with CIS 18, controls 1 and 2, hardware and software. They didn't just pick it randomly. It is vitally important. Now, you said get started spreadsheet. Or maybe you buy a blinky box. Chris asks a really great follow-up question. What challenges, or are there any gotchas around committing to something and then wanting to evolve later on?
Know that it's going to be a headache. when you're trying to transition. However, that being said, it depends on why you're transitioning. If you're suddenly having to transition because um, the other program broke or went out of business and went bankrupt, so you're no longer using the SolarWinds program, or something happened with it. If you decide to go into a different program, the main thing that you want to focus at is that you understand where it's going, and that you want to make sure that the data that you've got from the initial program, the initial tool, is complementary to the other tool. Run both tools if you can parallel for at least a few weeks, if not a few months. Shoot, I might even recommend going 6 to 12 months parallel, just in case there's something missing. We talk a lot about, oh my gosh, we've got too much gap coverage. We're overworking, but oftentimes they can verify a false flag, or if a flag is a true flag or not. So having multiple tools is not necessarily a bad thing. Not having any tools after you've gotten started could be a serious, could cause some serious problems.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so that's going to do it for Sandor's talk. Sandor, definitely appreciate you bringing to light the importance of asset management and actually some of the realities of, like you said, getting down on your hands and knees, and even digging into the walls and finding tech that. The funniest part, sorry to go off on a tangent here, but the funniest part is somebody somewhere built the wall after it's not like they cut a hole and put the switch in there, or if they did, then they patched the hole. Somebody built a wall with the tech behind the wall. So someone made that decision, which is just so crazy to me, and
It's
so real.
it's not the first time I've heard that or seen that. That was one I experienced. I had another one, Mr. Gardner, working for a bank. They had two DMARC closets at one bank. Um, Unfortunately, they didn't realize that the DMARC was for each floor. They were like, well, we don't need two DMARCs. It's one bank. Shut the other one down. Well, they shut the other one down, and half of the bank went down. It took them about 12 to 16 hours to figure out what happened. These
Oh,
happen over and over again, and things being buried in walls. My story isn't unique.
yeah, it's so funny. Well, shut it off and see who calls and complains. Like who hasn't had that as a troubleshooting technique, right?
Yep,
All
yep.
right. All right, so Sandor, if you have time, if you want to go over to Track One Open Chat over on the Discord server, if you do have the time, and if you are in chat right now and you'd like to continue the conversation or connect with Sandor, he'll be over in Track One Open Chat. Definitely appreciate that, Sandor. Thank you for your time today and for sharing with us.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Azure, and yeah, love the Simply Cyber briefs, the
Oh,
daily briefs. So,
thank
um,
you.
pleasure, honor to be here. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of the talk.